Fiesta is a free-to-play MMORPG, published by Ons On Soft in Korea, and hosted by Gamigo AG for EU territories and by Gamigo as well for the North American English market. It was originally published by OutSpark in 2007. It was then published by OutSpark in 2008. Later bought out by Gamigo in 2011. Fiesta features an anime-style characters rendered in 3D, with limited customizing options. On April 3, 2012, OutSpark launched Fiesta Social on the Facebook platform. On February 6, 2013, Fiesta Online henceforth belongs to Gamigo after OutSpark was made redundant. On April 29, 2014, Gamigo announced that Fiesta Online had been greenlit. The territory of each zone is tracked via Steam and will open the correct page. Players can still download the launcher manually to play the other versions. Gameplay information. Classes equals. Currently, there are 6 classes in Fiesta: archers, fighters, mages, clerics, tricksters, and crusaders. Archers are a ranged class that use bows and crossbows. Fighters are a close-ranged class that use one- or two-handed swords or axes to deal damage. A fighter can equip a one-handed sword and a shield, or wield an axe or two-handed sword. Mages are a ranged class that use staffs and wands. Clerics are a close-ranged class that use maces and hammers. Clerics are used to heal and resurrect other players because they are the only class that have that ability. Crusaders use both magical damage and physical damage and can attack close-ranged, or ranged. Crusaders are the first hero class to be introduced, and as such, they start off at level 60, and use automatically regenerating light points instead of spirit points. You can create a Crusader if you already have an LV 60 or above character on the server. Crusaders currently only use one type of weapon, a two-handed blade. Tricksters are close-ranged class that uses claws or dual swords to inflict damage. Tricksters also use souls collected from enemies to increase power and gain effects on attacks. The classes have 3 ranks offering a specific path to follow. These promotions are required for a character to advance in both skills and the equipment they are allowed to use. The Crusader class is the only class to have one single promotion pathway, directly to Templar at level 100. Skills equals. There is currently 3 types of skills available to the inhabitants of Isaiah. Active skills are skills that are used during combat or that are used throughout an adventure to turn the tides of battle. They each have their own respective level, class and spirit point requirements. Active skills are the only skills that a player can empower from the skill window. Passive skills are skills that a player can learn and never have to use at all because they are in constant effect as soon as they are learned. They increase certain aspects of each character class available from weapon damage to max SP. Passive skills are not upgradable. Alchemy skills are money-making skills. These skills allow characters to create upgrade stones for weapons and armor, scrolls that give 1-hour buffs to the player that consumes them, potions that heal or constantly heal a character's HP/SP over a short period of time as well as increase poison resistance or antidotes, and comp-decomp skills that allow a character to break down or create different materials from a group of a higher tier or lower tier resource with the aid of alchemy stones. Alchemy stones can be purchased from item merchants for money or from other players at a fluctuating price. Alchemy skills are not upgradable, but do require a certain amount of use in order to learn a higher tier of the respective alchemy skill. Money equals. In-game currency comes in 4 ways: copper, silver, gold, and gem. 1 gem is the equivalent of 100 gold. 1 gold is the equivalent of 1,000 silver. And 1 silver is the equivalent of 1,000 copper. Players can earn in-game currency through the successful completion of quests and by selling in-game items. As a game with microtransactions, there is an in-game cash shop which is used by transferring real-life currency into a fake currency used exclusively for the item shop. When OutSpark owned Fiesta Online, this was called Spark Cash. Now under the Gamigo acquisition it is given the name Slime Coins. They have an almost equal exchange rate. The cash shop gives many benefits, from visual only to those with gameplay benefits. the clothing is designed to be a middleman of these two elements. They often have stat increases whilst also giving your character a more unique outfit. They often only last 30 days. The permanent clothing often don't have stat increases to keep the game fair, but are also usually more expensive. In fairness also, the gameplay benefits tend to be short durations or one-time uses, any that are longer are much more expensive. Titles are little names given to a player which they can then apply to the beginning of their name. For example, popular, which is given to a player when they have a certain amount of people on their friends list, or monster joke punchline, which is given to a player when they are killed by the same monster 10 times in a row. Some titles now may give benefits to players, such as increased defense or extra skill points added to a skill. Cards. Fiesta now has collectible cards which can be obtained from killing monsters. These cards can be traded between players and some cards give a hidden title, which is an incentive to collect all of them. Also, collecting a large amount will give you bonus and exclusive items, such as legendary mini-pets, as well as LVL 85+ rings. Guilds. Guilds in Fiesta are a group of players banded together under a name. There are no restrictions to the name of a guild except the no profanity rule. Currently, any number of guilds can declare war on a given guild, but a given guild can only declare one war itself. There is also a limit to the location of a war between guilds. Once a war has begun, all maps become off-limits to PvP fights, with the exception of certain towns. To initiate a guild war, interested guilds issue a challenge to other guilds. Guilds are also able to compete with other guilds through guild tournaments called Relics of War. Academy. Academies are parts of a guild anyone below level 60 can join. Players start earning rewards of money and items from a guild starting at level 10 and continuing until level 60. At level 60 players graduate from the academy. A player may choose to stay in the academy past level 60. Player versus player. There are free PvP areas in each of the towns. Each main town has its own free battle zone, with Eldarine, Yaruga, and Albastel ruins having additional abyss maps, which are PvP zones with additional monsters in them that provide extra experience for the player when killed. Abyss maps are designed to be areas that offer high rewards, but with high risks. Players can enter and spawn kill lower levels, whilst others will enter simply to take advantage of the faster experience gain. Similarly to the leveling issue, PvP becomes unfair when someone is using cash shop items, which has caused an outcry with some players. In-game weddings. One of the biggest features to be released in Fiesta was the in-game wedding system. It was the first feature to be released into the game as one of the most anticipated features for player to have. Players are required to purchase a wedding application and then buy a ring in-game to propose to their significant other. The acceptance of the proposal results in a global announcement in-game as the player and the player's significant other has their names shown at the top of the game's screen for everyone to see. The wedding couple is allowed to invite up to 30 guests, all of which will be teleported to a special wedding chapel for the ceremony. Upon the completion of the ceremony, special rewards, such as buffs and pets, are applied to the wedding couple. Enhancements. Most weapons and armors may be enhanced with enhancement stones to increase their power. Enhancements can break or degrade items, there are however ways of ensuring this doesn't happen via the cash shop. Annoyingly, at later levels it becomes very difficult, and most people who enchant +3 use a large amount of cash shop items due to the cost of the process. Estate system. The estate system is also one of Fiesta's biggest and newly anticipated features, allowing players to do a multi-parted quest which will give them the skill to summon their estate. The estate itself is a little pockets in space, which holds a house that can hold its own furniture, a pool, a walkway and a large area to run around. All of this is aesthetic. Along with the player, the estate can host 15 guests. Furniture has since been added to the game, allowing players to decorate their estate. References. External links: Fiesta Online official website NA server, Fiesta Online official website EU server, Fiesta Online official wiki.